How's it going, everyone? I'm the one and only 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿. Welcome back to a new video, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at crafting, more or less, and talking about the crafting system and the ways in which that it can be fixed. Because, as you can see by the title of the video and the thumbnail, it kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. The crafting system in Path of Exile, at times, really kind of sucks. But I love it at its core, and I love what it can be at its best. So let's talk about it. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about it in three simple categories, talking about fixing it from the standpoint of clarity, from the standpoint of simplicity in making it simpler, and then the standpoint of accessibility. These 3 points, this trifecta, will make the crafting system better for everyone in theory, hopefully, and still be accessible to less hardcore reading the spreadsheets and using third-party website players. So that's the idea. We're going to talk about all of that. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. And yeah, without further ado, let's dive in and talk about it. Let's talk about it from the first standpoint. Like I said, we're going to talk about it from the standpoint of clarity, right? Let's talk about the clarity problem. The clarity problem of Path of Exile is that especially if you are a player who is just now started playing Path of Exile, let's imagine all of these 3 points from a new player's perspective, right? Or even a semi-experienced player's perspective can even be a valid point. Let's say you've only been playing Path of Exile for 2 leagues. You've been playing for 6 months. You still will probably be confused by some of the things I'm going to talk about. Like if you haven't seen it, anyway, we'll get there. Clarity. When you craft an item in Path of Exile, there are some things that feel very unintuitive. They feel very broken. So let's say, for example, you want to make the perfect rare item. You want to just get it. You drop something that has like 2 or 3 good mods and you really like it and you're like, okay, this is perfect. This is what I want to craft on. Now what do I do? Well, you need to go and use, like say you have like 3 prefixes. You can then go, okay, lock prefixes, which is prefixes cannot be changed, which is a mod you unlock from, clearing unique maps. And then you have to then scour it and nuke those off, and then you want to get your suffixes. And then you have to do a few other things, and you have to do like some, jazz with like annuls, and then you have to do some things with like, getting these exact suffixes. And then usually it'll involve something like, oh, I need to put a veiled chaos on here to get a veiled crafting mod on here. Then I have to then, craft something to block it, and, exalt, slam it, and then do something else, I am not even exaggerating the process to some degree, and that's the sad part. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go check out Empyrean Gaming's channel on YouTube, and go watch one of his End League crafting videos, where he and 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿, who's another one of his friends, I believe also a content creator, who literally just sit there and have to work for hours to craft these absurd items. Why is it so hard? Why does it take 2 or 3 guys sitting there with spreadsheets, with a website that is a crafting simulator, and just all brainstorming, hoping that it'll work, and then sometimes it still doesn't? That is not clear. That is not easily understandable. Think of a new player walking up and trying to craft an item like that. They have it in mind, they have the theory, and they're like, okay, well, theoretically, I should just be able to, make this white item rare. I should be able to then, it has like a couple of open slots. I can just exalt slam it, right? And then I exalt it once and craft what I want on it. And that's like, approaching the crafting system at its baseline is simple. But there is no way of seeing what outcomes you could get. There's no way of seeing like any type of results that might even be possible. And so for the sake of clarity, that's what I think I would want added or changed about Path of Exile. Show me on a menu to the right? Like say you put a item up into, wherever you're crafting it on, and you want to, like, say you have like stash tab, or you put it in your inventory and you're ready to craft on it, have beside the menu for the item and showing the stats, have it show, okay, if you use this orb on this, these are the possible outcomes. And if it's, if you're just rolling a chaos on it, just, it could say like, you can roll any mods on here. Like, you don't even have to like actually list mods. But if it's the case of Exalt slamming an item and there's only like 3 or 4 options, because a lot of the time when you have a full slotted item, there's only going to be like 3, 4 outcomes. Show me those outcomes. Show me if you exalt this, like while you're hovering the exalt, let's say you right click and then you hover the cursor with an exalt, toggle ready over your left click, you hold it on an item, it should show me the outcomes. I think that would help tremendously with me being able to see, oh, this is what I could get from this. This is what the result would be. And then on the, more like complex end of things, then it's like, okay, now I can see if I, have these 3 things crafted, prefixes cannot be changed. It'll, say like no prefixes can roll because you have this. And then you can have another thing on that little menu that says like, you could roll fire res, fire damage, or fire damage over time multiplier. That type of stuff. Just show me some possible outcomes. And then I know like, okay, I have done this right. These are my possibilities. And then I still have to roll it, and it's randomly chanced between those 3. But then I know that I can see what possible outcomes, and I know that I've done it right up to this point. Because if I get to this point and then I do chaos roll it, I've just burned a divine on the craft of prefixes cannot be changed. I've burned, whoever knows how much currency on getting those 3 prefixes perfect, and then I might have messed something up in the process somewhere along the way, and something wasn't blocked right or something like that. Or, like clarity. Show me what the possibilities are. Show me what can happen. That's the first step. Second step, simplicity. Oh my gosh. All that, I just talked for like 5 minutes, I think, about all of the problems with the system and how complex it is. Imagine teaching that to your grandma. Imagine teaching that to a new player. Imagine teaching that to a 6-month Path of Exile player, right? To teach them how to craft a perfect rare item, an in-game, perfectly crafted rare item, would be hours of work to teach someone, to show them the external tools, to show them these things. Why? Let's, instead of making players have to spend months, years playing the game, hours outside of playing Path of Exile, playing, spreadsheet, shuffle, let's simplify the crafting system down some, okay? I don't know what form this would take. I had one idea where I was rolling it in my head and I was like, I would love multi-modding of some form or kind to come back. And I think they will never again do multi-modding. If you don't remember what I'm talking about from multi-modding, the current state of a multi-modded item is you can have up to 3 crafted modifiers on it, and when you craft that mod, it counts as one of the 3. So in other words, you can actually only have 2 crafted mods on the item, which is still pretty strong. You still have 2 pick your mod, stats on an item. But it used to be so much better. It used to be a thing where as long as you had a rare item, with even like you could have 0 mods. You could basically just get a rare item on a good base type you liked, and then you could just annul off the properties. You could annul off the stats, multi-mod it, and it could say can have multiple crafted mods, and you could literally craft all 5 other slots on the item. I do miss that, but I also understand that they don't want you to be able to just build your perfect item and then be done. So let's find a middle ground. shall we say. Let's say you need to do something. You need some risk versus reward. You have a league called Crucible. Let's say you take a white item. It has to be a white item, and you put it on the Crucible altar. And then you have to fight waves of enemies. Say it's like, 2 to 3 waves of enemies or something like that, or 1 to 2 waves, something of enemies that gets, a rampant challenge. And every time you beat a certain threshold, you get to craft a mod on the item. You get a list of 4, 5, 6 possible crafts on the item. You pick the one that you want the most, go again, go next. You go to the next one, or you can claim the item right then and there and then leave. But then you have to go, again, 2, 3 more waves, 2, 3 more waves, 2, 3 more waves, all the way up to the end, get to the final thing where you have a 6 mod item that you have earned. You did have to fight for it. You need to make it challenging, because obviously you don't want it to just be a build your own item for free, no risk, you've got it, any character can do it, but you still have that as an option. And then the final thing, to make it specifically for Crucible, just for Crucible, don't do this beyond. If you make it core, put a 7th mod slot on it for the boss. You have to beat a Crucible boss fight in order to get this fairly strong, really crazy, nutty mod. And then you have that, and you just have done it, you made it, you beat all of it, and you got your nuts weapon. You got it perfect. I think that is a simple, easy to understand way to craft an item, to make it good, and to make a decent item, and obviously still have the if you do have the complex crafted items, you could still leave those in the game, but make alternatives that are still at least somewhat comparable, right? For the newer player, for the player who is not an experienced gamer, because Path of Exile struggles with this problem a lot. It's very complex. And I don't even want to explain complex crafting to my dad, who's been playing since the beta. I would not even attempt to try and explain the lengthy crafting process of a single rare item, because it just makes my head hurt, and I don't want to even try to explain that to anybody. So let's make a new system, and then potentially try and simplify down the previous one, the current one, where it's okay, what can we do to make this easier? Just again, show the results that are possible, and then maybe remove some of the modifiers. Honestly, thin the pool on things that don't really get used that much, and implement them elsewhere. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. Anyway, this video is dragging on, so let me continue forward. The last thing is accessibility, and I kind of already touched on this with the previous two, but you have to make sure that crafting is accessible to all levels of player, right? If a player makes it, isn't making it through the campaign, I meant to say, why not? Why aren't they going and crafting an item? They haven't been told that they can maybe communicate that. They have a crafting altar in their hideout where they can go and craft mods. Make sure that's communicated to them in tooltips, in tutorials, in other things. And then make sure that when they go in there, there's actually desirable crafting mods, right? Obviously, you still want droppable items to be the best items in the game. But crafting should still feel good. It should still be a thing that is accessible to everyone. It should be clear, simple, and accessible. Like I said in the beginning, those are the 3 pillars that Path of Exile needs to strive to achieve to improve its current crafting system. And I think if they can achieve those 3 things, the game will flourish even more than it currently is, and it will welcome a breath of new life into the new player community. That's all I've got to say. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you're new here. And thank you all so much for watching. I plan to have a new video tomorrow on Thursday, hopefully. And I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all for a new video tomorrow.